Hello, I'm Lisa McDaniel from the Marketing and Communications Department at Northwest Vista College, and I'm here today with Joel Garza.
Hi,
Hi, how are you doing today?
good man. Thank you for having me.
Great. Um, we're going to talk today about dating and domestic violence awareness. And I have a few questions for you. First off, if you could let me know, you're in the MOVE organization, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. It's an organization for men's excellence, for retention in college, just a good community to have between guys, so they, have a better understanding to learn leadership and the such in college.
Very cool. It's is it Men of Vista Engaged?
Yes, ma'am.
And if anybody's interested in that, they can go to Alamo Experience to look that up, correct? So that they can join. Okay, great.
Yes, ma'am.
So the Men Vista Engaged are here to help us with Joel to talk about domestic violence. So first off, I want to ask you a question. How do you describe domestic violence? What is it?
So domestic violence, um, as far as I've had the great opportunity to, grow up in a good household where, fortunately, I haven't had to experience this firsthand. But as far as the less fortunate people out there, it would be either abusive actions, like physically, and or it could even extend into verbal abuse, like calling names and insulting people.
Right. Um, from what I understand, it can also be maybe financial abuse.
Right, like holding a bank account hostage, I guess, or not giving people the money they need if it's been promised to them, from what I understand.
Why do you think victims sometimes return to or stay with their abusers?
Well, they're definitely very difficult situations for people to handle. Um, maybe they don't have anywhere else to go, or they feel like they've been abandoned by other people in their life because of what the abuser has done or said about them. And sometimes their self-esteem can be wrecked by bad situations, and so they might not feel like there's any valid way for them to go about leaving.
Right. So the I know that some of them actually fear, actually for their lives
Right.
sometimes. Um, there's also like a term called gaslighting that they talk about, where they feel like they're like responsible for the abuse that they get.
Yeah,
Yeah. So have you heard of that one?
I have. It's terrible stuff.
Yeah. Um, do abusers show potential warning signs?
I think they definitely can be, but they might be hard to pick up like early in a relationship.
Mhm.
But from what they could be like, if I was in a relationship, it would be like uh, not letting you see other friends, or like wondering where you are 24/7, and then ease into other things.
So is it possible for abusers to change?
I feel like personally, I think everyone can change, but the abuser has to recognize that what they're doing is harming other people and causing problems for not only their relationship, most likely relationships outside of that, like personal and family relationships and ties. But after they recognize that they have a problem, they'll have to make the make the honest, hard look at themselves and say that they want to change.
Very true. One question that we hear a lot is, can men be victims of domestic violence?
They can, I believe. Um, it's easy for if they give so much power to their partner, um, and they really let things, more often than not, it's not going to be physical, but maybe emotional or verbal.
And generally, people think of it as violence against women, but it's not always.
Right. It's on both sides.
Yeah. So, do LGBTQ people experience domestic violence as well?
Yes. As far as I understand, not too sure about the rates on that.
Yeah, I think I have some information here that says 43.8 lesbian women and 61.1 of bisexual women have experienced rape, physical violence, and or stalking by an intimate partner. That's opposed to 35% of heterosexual women. So it's pretty high. The same with gay men, 26%. And 37.3% of bisexual men have also experienced those same things, as compared to 29% of heterosexual men. So yes, you're right. They definitely do. How does the economy affect domestic violence?
Well, if you're emotionally and economically attached with a person, it makes it that much harder to break away if you realize you're in a bad situation, I believe. Um, like if you have a shared apartment, shared lease, you guys are on the same paperwork together, it's, it seems like because it's on paper and because of rules of the household, it's even harder to break away.
Do you think that the pandemic has affected that as well because of the
Oh,
economy?
definitely, just makes it that much harder. Money's tight already as it is.
Yeah, I would think that probably living in a confined space with someone so much could maybe lead to that as well.
Right. It's kind of like a
Um,
nightmare.
so, what can people do out there to help as far as domestic violence goes? What can we do to help stop it?
Uh, I think the best way to go about it in a realm that we can all have some kind of input is pay close attention to your friends, close family, and look out for warning signs like constant texts, or they seem stressed about their partner, or uh, you know they they seem stressed, but they just haven't broken through to opening up to you about it. Just ask them about it, see if everything's okay.
Um, do you have any advice for your fellow classmates or any other men out there that you'd like to give to them about domestic violence?
As far as my classmates go, like we said, just if you feel like you're in a bad place, reach out to someone, see what they can do for you. If you, it's hard to tell if you're the abuser, I think, because you'll be you'll think you're in the right, I guess. And if that's the case, if you see hints of discomfort and whatnot, then take a hard look at yourself and see if you want to change and if you care about the relationship and if you want to continue being that way.
Okay. Well, Joel, I'd like to really thank you for being here. We've been here with Joel Garza from NVC's Move Student Organization again. And I'd actually like to end today with a quote that I have from the National Network to End Domestic Violence. When we talk about domestic violence, we're not talking about men versus women or women versus men. We're talking about violence versus peace and control versus respect. Domestic affects us all, and all of us, women, children, men, must be a part of the solution. So I'd like to thank everyone for watching and look for more dating and domestic violence videos available on Alamo Experience through October. Again, thank you, Joel.
Thank you.